Beautiful. I always get like the side note.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. Good morning. It is 8:37 on Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. And this is the meeting of the Sandpoint Arts, Culture and Preservation Commission, and we are now called to order. For the record, I am Chairwoman Ellie Sussness, presiding at the City of Sandpoint Council Chambers, 1123 Lake Street in Sandpoint, Idaho. The commission members present are Barry Burgess, Hannah Combs, Kate McAllister, myself, Ellie Sussness, and Mike Lithgow on Zoom. Absent are Karen Wiedemeyer, Caitlin Shook, and Keely Gray, and Rick Decker. We will now proceed with the approval of the minutes from the commission's last meeting, which was December 12th, 2023. I missed you guys. It's been a while. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
I have a second?
Second.
Barry seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None heard, so motion passes. All right. Let's head on next to the financial report. Heather, can you give us an update?
Absolutely. We had a survey meeting this morning and I just have those numbers fresh. So for the art fund, we have downtown $162,000, $162,358.31. And in the Northern District, $91,388.58. And that's of March 1st, 2024. We do have a remaining balance in the Silver Box project. Originally, the advance date was $18,315.22. The balance, as it sits right now after our last cycle, is $1,684.68.
Okay.
The SURA funds never expire, correct?
Excellent. Any other questions? All right, let's move on. All right, so updates and discussions. Number 3, the Arts, Culture, and Historic Preservation Commission members. We have reappointments and a newly appointed commission member, Kate McAllister.
Thank you. It's my honor.
We also reappointed Rick Decker and Barry Burgess.
Awesome.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Kate, did you want to give a little background on yourself?
Speech.
Oh, please. I've been around a while. It feels weird because I think everybody knows me. I just got off council. I was council president. I really enjoyed that. I love working with the city. I've been here for 31 years now. I ran the Chamber of Commerce for 13 years. Now I'm at the hospital and I'm managing volunteer services. And that's about it.
Leadership.
Oh, I teach leadership Sandpoint. I forgot. Thank you, graduate. Thank you, graduate.
Made an indelible mark.
Yeah, and I really like that. I will continue to do that. I hope through the chamber, teaching leadership. It's my favorite thing to do because great leaders come out of it.
Mhm. Barry, did you have any comments? Thank you for,
For myself, yeah, I've been here since a long time. I worked with Ellie in the previous commission. Worked with Aaron. And it was a really good introduction to city operation, particularly as it has to do with funds, arts. And I'm historically interested in most any history. Sandpoint has a rich, interesting history
Yes.
and hope to contribute.
Your background, Barry.
Background, 25 years in architecture.
She's our
And,
architectural
art-
historian
Art
expert.
since I walked. So keeps me busy now. I'm teaching a class in April, doing cartooning for adults. I've been teaching drawing with JDS, the studios of Pollack. And It's been a fun, interesting project. And so we'll see what happens this spring. I'll also do some urban sketching in the summer, so I'll teach a class there too.
That's
I
awesome.
feel like some of the luckiest days for me is receiving an email from Barry with just a message, but then this beautiful little like sketch.
Oh,
And I always print it out and put it
Send
up
out a
on my
sketch.
wall.
that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's fun.
So talented.
Very good.
Great.
Well, welcome both. Thank you so much for serving.
My pleasure.
All right. Let's move on then to number 4, the local historic district and downtown waterfront overlay districts. Let's get an update from Heather.
Perfect. Well, I really appreciate all of your guys' patience. It's been a minute since we've had a meeting. So some of this stuff you may have known about now. But we had kind of a weather issue with a storm, and then there was a technical thing that happened. So let's go all the way back. I'm trying to remember if this was before the new year, let's say, when new leadership came in. But this is the PowerPoint presentation that I presented to the commission, or excuse me, the council, excuse me, with the former city planner, Amy Tweeden, who is no longer with the city. So I just thought it would be helpful if we kind of gave a little history lesson for a moment of where we are with the local historic district. And I felt like the best place to land was the most publicly presented presentation. So essentially, we presented to council that these are the next steps that we will be taking according to the downtown waterfront design competition. This was an ask from council to move forward. We reminded everybody about the why. You know, we need a local historic district. Our National Registry district is fantastic, but it does not protect our historic buildings. This was from the design competition, a suggestion of different boundaries. And then we moved into a timeline. And this timeline was, the suggestion is because council wanted to move forward pretty quickly on this endeavor. And so we teamed up with GGLO as consultants to be able to meet that deadline. And so here's what we presented, and we were essentially going to be landing on having hopefully a adopted local historic district at the end of March. We had new leadership come in, and it was felt, well, and then a contract actually, excuse me, with GGLO was penned. And so new leadership came in. They really felt it was important to finish the comprehensive plan. And then after the comprehensive plan is complete, then we will know what the priorities are of the city. And so currently where we're sitting right now is this is on pause. The contract's on pause with GGLO, and the local historic district is on pause until the comprehensive plan is finished. Currently, the comprehensive plan is in special meetings with planning and zoning and council. And what they're doing is they're going page by page through the comprehensive plan. Just as a reminder, the comprehensive plan was started in 2019. COVID hit, the whole world changed. You know, there's just been a lot that's been going on. So we're hoping that we'll get that comprehensive plan wrapped up soon. I'll never forget, the consultant on that comprehensive plan has had 2 children, just to put it in perspective. That's pretty amazing. So
Busy
good,
boy.
yeah. Good news is, hopefully, after that plan is adopted, we'll be able to kind of reevaluate where we're sitting. And Mark Sindel, the principal of GGLO, is wonderful. He's very patient, and I'm in conversation with him about where we are with things. And so it'll be wonderful when we can understand what those next steps are.
And will we have a new planner?
Hopefully, I know the city's really active right now in getting job postings out, and I'm not sure officially what that next step will be. If they're going to hire like an interim until we can get in more of a contract basis. I don't have all the details yet.
Hey, thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for your patience.
Of course. Just a note, on the comprehensive plan. I was there a couple of weeks ago at that first meeting, where they were going over chapter by chapter, and it went really well. There was a lot of good conversation. There was people in attendance, citizens, and, we got through actually the arts and culture portion, and, you know, not a lot, nothing got changed, I don't think, other than maybe a few words here and there. And we're having another, session tomorrow night. Wednesday, the 13th, at 6 o'clock, I believe, so. Yeah, and they were moving right along, so I anticipate it will be soon.
So good attendance.
Good attendance, I thought it was good attendance, yeah.
I think the next one is Wednesday this week.
Yes. Yeah, so, and I was on the steering committee back in the day, so I'll be excited to
This is your baby
complete
too.
it. Yes. Yes.
Grown
And
now.
I know. In kindergarten. All right, well, is there any other questions on that presentation? All right, let's move on then to number 5, the historic preservation team update. So the historic team has been working on the Sandpoint walking tour brochure. And we talked about this in December, and according to the notes, we let you guys know that we had talked to Sura, and they were gonna grant funding for the brochure, which is different than we've ever done it before. We've always, the previous historic commission had gotten ads from various businesses to pay for the brochure. So this is going to be a little bit different for us this time. And this isn't just a reprint, this is a revamp of the brochure.
And why it makes sense for SUR to be able to participate is the addition of the cultural aspect, which Ellie will get into, and being able to have an artful cover, because that's what SUR is about, is funding the arts and culture.
Exactly. So the first thing that we decided we would do is to update the cover. And then it just cascaded from there. We decided to just revamp it and, use consistent colorways. There'll be new content. We're updating the photos, making sure that we're not using photos that are conflicting. I have some, Barry Burgess and I decided we would work together on mapping out a concept for
I love it.
doing on, like Heather said, an artful cover. So Barry volunteered to do some line drawings.
And for the individuals that are new, this is what it looked like. And you're familiar with our chamber.
We gave away thousands of them every year.
Barry and I got together and painted. We threw around some ideas of how we wanted to color the cover. And so what Heather's got up on the screen is actually
Can I frame it?
Yeah.
probably really close to the final design. We may tweak it a little bit, and of course, some of the information on here is still a work in progress, but we're
It's
getting
beautiful.
close.
And
Beautiful.
the commission will decide on, of course, what the final is.
Mhm.
But in that, so just how we're being able to be productive with doing arts, culture, and historic preservation, and only having a monthly meeting, is having work team meetings.
Mhm.
and according to open meeting law, it's under quorum, so there's 4 participants. And right now we have 3, so there is an available, opportunity. So all the work that we're doing in those work team meetings will always be discussed and formally approved on in these larger meetings. And, so Ellie, once we get further along, we'll make a formal decision on, you know, how things are looking. And then at that point, I think we can present to council and give them an update along with presenting to Sarah too. But for the individuals that are here, which is mostly the work team, and the Kate, is everybody happy with the art, the new color changes?
Yeah.
The idea of the cultural, do you want me to speak to the 3 different themes? So, adding kind of that other side of the tracks, you know, that amazing bit of land that kind of started it all with our local indigenous culture, having City Beach as a summer village. So that's kind of one page. And then you move on to the homesteading, the early Sandpoint, the original town site, which was on the east side, doing storytelling with that. And then that third aspect is the 50s with the dams coming in. And then that civic injection of Lions Club and all these other groups that really built City Beach as we know it today. And so the idea is that, you know, we just feel like there's such a lack of storytelling for that, you know, that beautiful area. And we can do all these, expand the walking tour opportunity. I mean, the world's our oyster for all the things that we can do with this. So I'm really excited about it.
Yes, I am too.
I think it's wonderful. I like the original, but it was just sort of brown. Right?
That was perfect in
And so
its day.
Yes, yeah. And so I think this is absolutely stunning. Yeah.
Anna, did you have any comments on our process so far?
Nothing you guys haven't already shared?
Well, thank you to you and the museum for doing the research on the photos.
Yeah,
Very, very good. Couldn't do it without you. And Barry, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I was really interested in the story told about the Tannen House, is that the name of it?
Tanner?
Yeah, is that it? The parrot that they couldn't shut off?
Good old Amanda Nesbitt.
It was kind of, all the buildings are iconic for Sandpoint. And it was an important place to take off as far as doing the drawing.
Mhm.
And Ellie's work with colors is wonderful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Good job.
Well
Thank
done.
It's a work in progress, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
Mike, did you have any questions?
No, looks good. Great work.
Thank you. All right, if there's no other questions then on this, I think we can move on to the culture team update.
Perfect. Okay. Again, this happened, I think, on December 15th or sometime in December. So really what I'm kind of doing is giving you guys like a history overview. I feel like so much has changed. We're in a whole nother year
Yes.
now. Okay, let me go ahead and share this. So here we go. Multiple individuals from our commission that are on our culture team met with a stakeholder group to understand naming within the watershed in December. And this is kind of, this was the original, I'm so sorry, guys. So I'm dealing with a lag here. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing and redo it. I'm gonna try it this way. There we go. Okay, so December 13th, 2023, we met. And what essentially we did was we understood the guiding goals of the Little Sand Creek Watershed Recreation Master Plan and the goals from the Arts, Culture, and Historic Preservation Master Plan as well. And our team met up beforehand and worked kind of on a strategy of how to approach this. And really what we were looking for is to create a framework for trail naming up in the watershed that made sense. And we understood that there was some immediate needs and So goal number one, establish a framework for naming trails in the water. Goal number two, address immediate needs of existing trails. And these are the existing trails that they have up there. And then, of course, we have all of the actions for the different plans, long-term actions. And when we're doing something as large as wayfinding and placemaking, it's a pretty complicated process and it tends to take almost a year or longer. So we were trying to, again, just create a high-level framework to address the couple of immediate needs, but know that this is something that we need to approach at a different time. So one of the ideas that our commission put forth was to, let's see here, this is our little framework, address the community culture, but our indigenous culture at the same time. And then also do some kind of wayfinding with plants and animals that live in the watershed. So there could be a really great educational component to it. An example of this would be Galaxy Bear. So Galaxy is kind of our local community culture name. And then bear would be identifying that because there are two trails. So animals could be on a multi-use trail, and let's say, and then plants could be, coming down with mountain bikes. And so you kind of know which trail you're on according to if you're seeing a plant or an animal. And then you could take the animal name and then put the sales translation on it. So this was just a high level, like, here's a suggestion. We presented this to the stakeholder group. We had different ideas of the plants and animals. And really what came out of that meeting is here. It was the meeting, there was a lot of really powerful discussion that happened. These are the key things. I think the biggest thing that came out of the stakeholder group is that they wanted something really unique and creative. They felt like they have seen the animals and the plants before, and they thought, for the watershed, they could have something a little bit unique. They liked the idea of the two names on the signs. Hannah, you mentioned something really important from the historical standpoint and documentation standpoint. If I know it's so far
Months ago, I do not remember what I said.
And I thought that was really powerful. Like when we think about naming, it's fun to be expressive, but let's try to sink it into a meaning. And so, and there's so many fun names around here, but we don't have documented history of the meaning behind the name. So for instance, we were talking on the radio show about streets, like Ella. We assumed that it was Ella Farman, LMA Farman, but no, it wasn't, so it's important to make sure that that story is documented and then put in the archives and museum. And that was your request.
Yeah, I think the example they used here was Galaxy because there's an old car that's a Galaxy up in that area. And so, just a visitor to the area might see Galaxy Bear and be like, oh, it's some like cosmic bear. I don't know. But if we can at least document what does galaxy mean in that context and have that story saved somewhere, it'll give it more meaning.
So they liked the idea of nature theme that goes back to the watershed, separation of users, using the Salish language, having a standardized system, recognizing property owners potentially. And then we just talked about documenting the stories. They was mentioned that Trailforks is a pre-established platform where you actually can share cultural stories, which I thought was really an amazing resource. And then using trailheads or intersections to share interpretive signs. There were a ton of individuals that really loved the idea of a celestial theme. And then really though, with wayfinding, we need to put together this holistic style guide for future phasing for this. There's a lot of different user groups. There's private property owners, Schweitzer's up there, the city has property. There's so many different user groups that are involved. And I think it's really important to get everybody on the same page, but this isn't something that can be done overnight. So essentially where it landed was, Ezra, I believe he's the president of POP, and, well, maybe not president, but he was their designated individual to get a group going. Would put together, get the stakeholders together. He's also the high school art teacher, which I think is really neat. And create a list that could be reviewed by all of you of potential opportunities for names. I did receive the list and that was put on pause until we get a director. I think it's the community, excuse me, I don't have my org chart, but community development director. I thought because wayfinding is such a large comprehensive concept, it's important that knowing that the community development director was going to be filled fairly soon. Maeve and I worked with the mayor and we felt like it was a good idea just to take a little pause until we can get that position filled. So I'll definitely keep you all posted on this as it evolves. I did work with the Kalispel tribe on the idea of a celestial theme and if it makes sense to them from a cultural standpoint. I'm working closely with Mike on this. They're open to exploring that and figuring out some cultural ties, but it's just going to take time. So it's something we need to be aware of, you know, as we're going down this path. Any questions?
Mike, did you have any questions or comments on this one?
Sorry, trying to unmute there. No, I appreciate the process that Heather's going through. Anytime you try to name things or come up with styles and branding, and it's challenging. Everybody has, you know, different opinions, but it's important to have a convention that makes sense and that's functional, but also has meaning to the community. So I think it's an important to have this intentional process, and we're excited to help where we can.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that comment. All right. There's no other questions then. Thank you, Heather. That was an interesting meeting, and like you said, I can see how it's going to take time because there's a lot of voices at the table. But once we get it dialed in, it's going to be wonderful.
Exciting.
Awesome. All right, let's move on to 7, which is the arts team update.
Ellie, I don't have this on here, but there's one thing, what's so cool at the city is there's always things popping up. And recently, within the last week, I was approached by the mayor with an opportunity to, excuse me, I'm going to pull up the document so you're not staring at my computer. With an opportunity to put art potentially in the downtown parking lot area. And
It needs something.
yes, they need something. So, and so they're looking at different ways to kind of sustainably resurface it. They're working with Surrey. We talked about that in the Surrey meeting, but it was also brought up in the Surrey meeting by the mayor that he's excited to use the art funding and work with the commission on different art opportunities. Now with Surrey, we have to stay within a very specific framework with what we can and can't do. There was discussion that a kiosk could be there that has different postings of what's happening at the city, or there was kind of a little brainstorm sesh that happened. What I did was I celebrated this idea, but I told them that I haven't had an opportunity to discuss this with the Arts, Culture, and Historic Preservation Commission. And I'm looking forward to bringing it to you guys, and we can have a further brainstorm session of what that will look like. So I just wanted to immediately put that on all of your radar. I think it'd be great for us to kind of get a work team together where we can go out physically and stand on the parking lot, understand the different art and or history and or, you know, culture informational moments that what are the needs, what are the what ifs, understand our budget, how can we support artists, you know, all of those elements and come up with a plan. And it also had me thinking that, now that we have the downtown waterfront design competition, that, document has been accepted, into our repertoire of reports, and we have a lot of our planning done, we might want to think about getting a strategic plan down for how we're gonna use those art funds for Sura too. And that way we have a really good guiding of, movement forward, as different ideas and opportunities come up. So, I think because we meet on a monthly basis, what I'll do is I'll send out an email kind of letting everybody know. And then we can kind of get a team together and, approach, this idea. The mayor was, mentioned he would like to do another presentation to Sura next month, but we're still determining what, the Sura meeting date will be because of spring break. We needed to flex that meeting a little bit time-wise. But it would be wonderful to be able to have some sort of information to be able to present back to them. It's really important for me to make sure that all of your voices are heard and you're at the very beginning, with all of these planning processes.
So is there still the thing down there at the corner of the park that
The viney thing.
it was the sign that we could open up and we could put things in?
There was a map in there. No, they took that down.
Oh, yeah, cause
It
that
was
was
in-
where we put a lot of stuff, and then I think they took it down because someone lost the key.
Possibly, and it was in.
Yeah,
it was in
yeah,
district.
it was, but it was like, that's where we would put, you know, things that are happening and what's going on, yeah.
That's the other thing, and I can't wait for this new individual to, be hired for the community development director, because we have a public art policy that we need in place. We need some planning behind maintenance of art and
Yes.
the why and how things work. And,
Absolutely.
you know, so our ideas can be sustainably kept.
We've been talking about that for as many years as I've been on the commission.
She's so patient.
She's
You
in it
know,
for
we
the
put
long
these-
game.
We put these wonderful pieces up and then we don't have a method of, you know, keeping them
Right.
wonderful, so.
She always deals with, I'm like, oh, I have this new idea. She's like, no, we've talked about that.
Yeah, we
years
did that,
ago."
yeah.
One other thing, thinking about history, the farm and school was there, and there was a nice little conversation at Sura about that, and Marilyn Sabella got to talk about how she, you know, held every grade there. And that was a really beautiful, iconic building. So, yeah, there's gonna be some really great opportunities, and our commission is so amazing and creative and has all of the lenses that I know something brilliant will come up, so.
Well, I would request that myself be kept in on the loop on what they're actually planning to do.
Okay,
Because that's going to be,
absolutely.
that will determine what we want to do, I think.
Yeah, I think right now it's more of just like, a cosmetic concept, not a building or anything. It's how do we, kind of a low hanging fruit financially be able to just repave it, restripe it, and then do maybe some sort of like gateway or make it a little bit more friendlier and more informative.
Cause it's a pit.
Yes.
I'll say it, you're too nice.
In terms of like thinking of ways to incorporate history, that site is really fun because I don't know, a lot of times it's like, oh, here's a static photo of a building, but because the school was the only thing on that entire block, most of the land was really just like a giant playground. And so we have lots of photos of kids playing sports or just playing tag or things like that. So there might be some fun ways to incorporate that kind of sense of play into it, if that makes sense for the project.
Love it.
Fun.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring that up. I thought it was,
Well, thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
the late breaking.
yeah, I know, we almost need to
Yes.
have our commission meetings on a every other week basis. Cammy would love to. But bringing us to, another quick pivot moment that we did. So Traverse Park, there was an opportunity that came up, and traditionally with our calls, we like to have at least 3 months to work on it.
Right.
But really, when there's an opportunity to highlight our local artists, we hustle, and I celebrate every single one of you for being so reactive. Ellie, you took all of your years of putting art calls together and whipped that up on a weekend, I'm happy to be up till midnight, making sure, because the submittals came in yesterday, to be able to get this ready to present, because that's how much we care about our community. And so I'm celebrating all of you guys for making this happen, and then celebrating the artists too. We got 7 submissions. So
Wow.
I know, I was amazed, because it was like a, what, 4th through the 11th turnaround. We were able to find a stipend for the artists. So I'm going to go through this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to present this opportunity. I'm going to present the artists that submitted, and you guys are actually going to decide. Your recommendations are going to be going to council on the 20th, and then we're going to go from there. So please.
I did actually submit a proposal because it was a fast turnaround. I wanted to make sure that we at least had one
Sure.
submittal. Because with these things, you don't know.
Yeah.
Especially when it's such a short time. So just know that I did submit a piece, and I will recuse myself during the vote. But I have not seen the rest of them, and I'm
Yeah.
excited to see them.
That's
So.
good. You're an artist.
Yeah, and you guys are volunteers, so that's the thing, like, you should be able to participate in the calls as long as you recuse yourself during the voting. So, just would now be an appropriate time, or do you want to go through it, and then when we do the vote, then you recuse yourself?
However you want to do it.
How's that? Okay, perfect.
I
During the
can
voting period.
lead the discussion and then
Yeah.
recuse myself during the vote. Okay.
So, this is the We-Go-Round. It's an accessible, merry-go-round, piece of equipment. There's 4 panels. Each panel, there was a stipend of $250. And so, we opened the call on March 4th through March 11th. And here's a little visual of the colors that are going to be on the furniture of the piece. And we're still working I'm working with Maeve closely, Maeve Nevins Leftar on the Traverse Park, and also the Traverse Park Playground Design Team. Right now, I'm going to give you a little tickler, so you have information to be able to make your decision. We're still kind of at a pretty high level point of what this is going to look like, and tomorrow we have conversations with the Russell family, but we're looking at, all of the comments from the community on best pieces of play, making sure it's all accessible, and that it has this Into the Woods theme, but we also believe strongly in our master plan validates this feeling is that we need that Sandpoint history enveloped in it. So we have James Russell. He grew up here. He's generously donating funding for the indoor sports facility. But then we have this playground, right? So James played on the Sand Creek area and was fishing, and he was into the woods with his best friend Patrick McManus in the 40s. Okay, so like setting the scene, really excited, right? And that moment, they were Boy Scouts, and they had so much fun that it inspired Patrick McManus to write about these stories about his surrealist, or about being in the woods in Sandpoint in the 40s in a very magical, surrealist way. And he was such an accomplished writer that he was in the New York Times, and he's a national best-selling author that grew up here. And he was best friends with James Russell. I mean, how amazing is that?
Right.
So I think we just have this incredible opportunity to share our history and celebrate these very accomplished individuals, particularly an artist, author, right? And so I'm working with Maeve and the design team on how we do that, where it makes sense and where the community also celebrates it. So we're still kind of in the brainstorm sesh, but we're definitely excited to and again, we were just spitballing ideas. We don't know where these are gonna land. We still need to, excuse me, talk to the Russells and so forth, but potentially having James as a child, like a 12-year-old in the 40s, like be the narrator and be welcoming the kids into the playground and talking about how he played here with his friend Patrick McManus and what they did into the woods, and then having some sort of like I Spy moment of different themes from the book within the playground. And I just think that this is such an amazing, powerful opportunity where we're able to do all the things that our master plan is talking about. So I cannot wait to be able to share with you all what we end up with. But just as you're considering these panels, know that we're going to do a tickler of kind of that, maybe appropriately like a 40s feel. A lot of the play equipment has more of like a contemporary feel to it, but it doesn't mean that it can't have like a vintage aspect as well. And in terms of the colors, we really want to go back to what kind of makes sense within kind of the woodsy area. And also our Sandpoint logo, which really shares kind of the Sandpoint aesthetic feel. So know that we're considering that. And then in terms of like the Patrick McManus ticklers, there's so many fun things like the bear in the attic, or there's a story about a grasshopper. And so being able to kind of tuck those things into the playground in a really unique and artful way. And as a parent, I can engage with my children and be like, find the grasshopper, and then we can kind of tie back to the why. So I wanted to make sure you guys understood that as we're moving forward into the presentation. Next page. You can tell I'm really excited about that.
Oh, no.
Here we go. Let's see. My little clicker doesn't want to, so I'm going to try to take us. There we go. Now it's okay. So criteria, it must be original art. It cannot be AI generated.
How would you know that?
Have you speak to that, Ellie?
Right, I mean, I'm like, how do
Very-
you know that it's like,
Well, sometimes it is difficult. However, you can look at an artist's previous work and kind of determine style-wise.
Did we ask what the medium is on the application?
We anticipated that would be mostly digital, but they can put it in their description. Yeah, AI is so new, though, it can be a challenge.
yeah, I know. Well, that's what I thought. It's like, oh, I mean, I am an art appreciator, but I don't know that I can use this to say, oh, that's AI generated. I mean, unless it is so perfect, I don't think I'm sure. I mean, I can't draw a straight line with a ruler, so I am an appreciator.
So the other thing would be, this is a barrier-free, ADA accessible, all-inclusive playground. So if there is a nice example to help celebrate that, that'd be great to have that in a panel. There was some pretty specific art setup guidelines for this digital art. And that what happens is it essentially gets sent to the company when the playground's ordered, and that gets applied to those panels. And then the city may give preference to art from illustrators that are local to Bonner County or that have art featured in the local author's book. That kind of ties it back to McManus being an author and the tie, I love all of these integral woven ties. And then an artist can submit one panel or they can submit more in story form. And then we'll decide that final format during the selection process. Anything else that I missed on that?
I don't think so.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to run you through all of the selections, and then after we absorb everything and questions are answered, then we'll have a discussion of which 4 panels we want to recommend to council. Now, remember, there's artists submitted 4. I did have one artist just submit 1. And so it could be 4, it could be kind of a mismatch of different ones. Okay, here we go. So we have local artist Sarah Schaefer, And these are the 4 panels that she submitted.
Is it-
Tammy, could you move the little icon down? And any discussion that we want to have on just questions and clarification on this one?
If, okay, if these are digital images, I'm just thinking of color. So if we have that really bright green and blue, say we have a selection where we love the design, but we think maybe the color would look a little weird with that, you know, the color of the equipment. Is there a possibility we could talk to the artist and say, hey, can you make your color palette a little warmer or a little cooler or whatever?
Yeah, that's
to
such a great
address that?
question. This is a solicitation process, the way this went through.
Okay.
So I need to verify that with our contracts procurement officer.
Okay,
There's definitely some.
if this has to be like the final
specific-
version. or
Yeah,
if it could
specificity
be
that has to
adapted.
happen to make sure that it's fair.
And also because it's such a fast time frame,
Mhm.
we may not have had time for that anyway, even if we have that option. But
So let's look at these as shown.
Is there something in the tree? Are those kites or something?
No, it's sign language.
Let me go ahead and zoom in
I
on
can't see it.
this.
It
Give
says
love.
LOVE.
Oh,
Guys, I'm so
Okay.
sorry. I'd like to blame this all on my computer, but there might be a user.
Oh, okay, I see it now.
The black
Yeah.
one,
Yeah,
the L is a little hard
Oh.
to see.
I think
Gotcha.
what I'm
Tree.
gonna do, I'm gonna pop this into Canva and that way I can kind of zoom in a little bit and control it, yeah. I love Canva, it's my secret weapon.
I know, right?
I'd like to say I did this all myself, but I used a template. Okay. Here we are. Okay. There we go. Zoom this in here. Bring this down. Is that a little bit better?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Perfect. It's awesome. Very cute. I like that the shadow is really neat. I'm gonna bring us down. Oops. I'm gonna zoom us in on those lower panels too. I'm so sorry, guys. Think so. Interesting today. Kind of a delay. Way more technology. Okay, guys, I'm really. Let me see.
One other general question,
There we go.
will there be other pieces of equipment in the direct vicinity of this piece that will also have original artwork on it? Do we know that yet?
There will not be a piece that has original artwork. This is our only piece in the playground that has
Okay.
original artwork as it sits right now.
Sure.
There might be an additional layer of interpretive panels and storytelling or sculpture that could be added by local artists, but in terms of like a colorful panel.
So we wouldn't need to be thinking about how would this complement something else that's nearby with other original art. Okay.
The focus would
So
be
it's
more
unique.
on the color palette, like you hit earlier, which is the Sandpoint logo. You have your the dark blue, let me go
The
ahead.
yellow,
The yellow, yeah.
the green.
Back to really this color palette
Mhm.
embodies kind of what we're looking at, where it's like there's like an olive green
Mhm.
color, kind of chartreusey, and then you have your dark green, and then you have blue,
Mhm.
and then you have a light blue.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next slide. Sandy Gale. A local artist. Let me know if you want me to zoom in and I will do my best to do that.
Do the people have faces? Can't tell.
They
No.
do,
They do?
yeah. Let me zoom in on that. Here we go. Okay, shoot, guys.
Hey, Heather, real quick, this is Mike. just so you know, just to manage expectations from my end, I'm colorblind, and so all the talks of colors don't really, this is all looks really cool, but I'm just not very going to be very helpful from that perspective. So anyway.
I appreciate that, Mike. And if there's
Yep.
anything I can do to bring, describe color, let me know.
Okay.
That helps. Okay, so I'm just gonna take you guys panel through panel, and I apologize about having the canvas screen here, but you can see there's a little face on this blonde girl. And then there's the bunny in the cloud and a little boy without, you can't see his face. And then, we have the little girl with a kite here. And again, I think there's a little bit of cloud work going on, and it almost looks like a little heart in the background. The mountains, and then I'm just gonna drop us down to this panel here. We have 3 different faces and a little girl in a wheelchair. And we're gonna move over to the next panel, the 4th. And there's a little boy who's kind of doing a little skipping moment. I'm gonna draw us back to the full view. Let me know when y'all are ready. Okay. Lori Reed. So we have, let me know if you want me to zoom in, a little girl jumping on a trampoline. To the right, a young girl riding a bike down a hill. And down below in the left, a little girl sniffing a flower in a wheelchair with a cat. And on the right side, a girl skipping rope with a little chipmunk. Is it okay if I move on? Jacqueline Eckersley. So in our upper panel, we have kind of sketched out snowmen, trees, and different woodland creatures. There's like a quail and what's that animal on the bottom there? I need to research my animals here. Just gonna zoom in. There's some details on here that I think would be good to show you guys. I'm gonna go up and we're gonna go over. Here we go. Kind of like interesting kind of cutout there.
Do we know that the moose was drawn by the artist and not copied onto that from somewhere else?
I do not have that information. I'm gonna go to the next one. And the curvature is actually what will come out of that, the panel design. It will have a slight curve. So no matter what, all of these will kind of go into that template form. And then down below, we have a little mountain goat on the mountains. It's playing. There's a little bird by the ball there and a bunny. And then I'm moving over to the last one with flowers, a little hill, and children cascading down. There's the child in the wheelchair. I'm going to bring us back to the full view on that. So this is Jacqueline Eckersley. Is it okay if I move on to the next one? Mm-hmm. Jessica Jansen. So full view, 4 panels. Do you guys need me to zoom in on this at all? Okay. Slide, we have the couple accessible, all-inclusive child moment on the 2 panels below. Guys ready for the next one? Perfect. And then Ellie Sesnes, local artist. We have our 4 panels. Great woodland creatures and the ponderay poplar.
Yeah.
Why not? I love it.
Always have to get it in
Oh. Sarah and I, when we would do planning documents, we'd hide like in the images, little ponderay poplars and see if the community could pick them up. Are you guys okay if I move forward? This is Emma Taylor, and she only was able to submit one. And I do have to say the emails were so nice from the artists, and they celebrated this opportunity. And a couple of them, Emma was one of them, was like, I'm a mom with a 5-month-old and I wish I had more time. But she said, this is my first art call and I wanted to be able to submit one panel. Do you guys want to see this one a little bit closer? Are you able to find all the features?
If you could zoom in a little bit.
I don't know, can I? I seem to struggle today with this. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. There we go. Drop this down. We've got the little frog, this little girl interacting with the frog here. It looks like each one of them has a frog, and the frogs are dancing. They're being held by lotus flowers. Going up, we got the mama frog there, the daddy frog, and then different trees. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom us in again. Yes. Are you guys okay if I move forward? That's it. So we have, I'm gonna go ahead and Ellie, why don't you make yourself comfortable on the meeting? Outside of here.
Outside of your league.
Thank you. Okay, so just as a review, I'm gonna go back to the beginning, but we have Emma Taylor, we have Ellie Sesnes, Jessica Jansen, Jacqueline Eckersley, Lori Reed, Sandy Gale, Sarah Schaefer, and that's it. So, conversations. I'm gonna let you guys lead.
I like this one. I think I like the sign language in the tree. I like the colors. But it doesn't really go with the color scheme that you picked, but
The only one that I would say absolutely not was the winter scene from Jacqueline Eckersley, just because it was sloppy and left unfinished.
yeah.
I did like the leaves, those are cute.
Are you guys feeling like you would mix in the different ones or or do you feel like one artist comprehensively captured all 4 panels?
Well, that's interesting. Whether you would take one panel from each
Yeah.
of other members.
Yeah.
That's an interesting idea.
I did like Emma's at the end. It's the only one that has only one panel, but
Yeah.
I think the styles of these selections are so different. It would be hard to find a grouping of 4 different artists that worked well together.
I really like the different interpretations, so I like seeing, you know, when you give different people, here's the same idea, and then they go and. It's great. I like those kids, I like their faces.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Garbage Pail Kids. If you
I
like those.
That was our.
And I don't mean any disrespect, I love them, I thought they were so cute.
They're very cute. Let's kind of think about it, through the lens of the location. Do we want to put these art pieces in in the place? So would that mean that we wouldn't want to bring in City Beach, or do we just want to focus on the playground and highlighting the playground?
Another thing I'm trying to think of is like which which style will be most appealing to kids.
Yeah.
Because I find the first one really lovely as an adult.
Right,
I'm
I
like,
was just
ooh,
thinking that,
I
yeah.
love the contrast and the
Too
silhouettes. And I'm like,
sophisticated.
is
Right.
that gonna be the most appealing to the kids who are actually using the equipment?
Right,
It's a great feedback.
Think from a kid's lens, Lori, the last one. I think those are
we
the most
definitely
important.
need to keep in the redhead, I'm just saying.
Yeah, those do have a really nice energy. I feel like the teeth would kind of scare me as a child, but but I do love the energy. of it.
Last time you saw an elementary
It's true.
Yeah,
They just feel like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
right.
yeah, that's
You
normal."
just automatically have to understand braces.
Good point.
They're missing half their teeth all the time.
I know, right? I think those are sweet, yeah.
And then also clarity, like if this we go around is going around, what visually is going to be easy to understand with the eye?
Right.
My top three were Sarah's, the first one, Lori's, and Ellie's. But my only question with Ellie's was that there are no children in it. It's all animals. So
Mhm.
how do we feel about that?
And it's not showcasing an accessible moment.
I mean, the paddler is cute, that's pretty iconic to us, but.
Yeah, I think I like this one because I think it works with the equipment color the best, but at the same time, there might not be enough contrast. It might blend in too much.
Could you share your top three, Kate?
No.
Okay, Barry, could you, or
You know I can.
could we push it out of you?
I'm just giving you bedtime. I do like number one, but again, I agree with Hannah that it might be a little bit too sophisticated, you know, for kids. I mean, it's beautiful, but right, kids again. Lori's, I love the little kids. I think those are amazing. And I didn't like, Sandy Gales is pretty iconic too, but it seems very simplistic, is that, but I guess kids are very simplistic. So I guess that would be three. I do like the Pondery Paddler, but where would we put it? I think my number one would be Lori's. I like the little kids. They're just having a great time.
How about you, Barry?
How about me? We go through the
Yes.
let's start at the top. Okay. It's very sophisticated and it's also generic. I think Hannah's comment about how a child would react to that. I don't believe a child would look at it. Next one. Sandy Gales is, it's a bit muted. Each one kind of are very similar to each other. So it's not a lot of activity going on. It's rather stoic. Next one. That one is wild. I actually like that one the best. I think it's strong. Kids can relate to it. Parents too, because it is wild. The color is really strong. And it shows action. The others are almost all of them are very rigid. This one is having activity. This one's moving. And next. Jacqueline's is really interesting that she's showing all 4 seasons, which is a good thing. It's a good comment on her part, but they tend to be a little bit too muted. They seem a little flat. Not very much depth. Next. Hard to say, very sketchy. Kids might relate to that because it looks very childlike. I have to go back to Lori's as my favorite choice.
Okay.
The last one, by the way, if that's what that was, yeah, that one is very mosaic. It's kind of interesting as a single panel. 4 panels would be really interesting if it were an enamel, you know, kind of a brilliant enamel. That might work well.
When I go through this, what I love about art calls is it does introduce you to all these different artists in
Yeah.
the community. And so it's kind of fun to think about other possibilities for these specific styles and different opportunities down the road.
Yeah.
Sounds like Lori Reed is on each one of your lists.
Is Mike still on the call?
Oh, Mike, top 3.
Oh, man. Again, the color's not my strong suit. But I do really like Sarah's. I think it's really cool. I mean, maybe if there was another opportunity in the community for some of this stuff, the one with the sign language is really cool. I mean, I think that's a standalone piece that could be utilized maybe elsewhere. But those kids remind me of the ones with the crazy teeth and those panels. It reminds me of some sort of childhood book that I read that was just really fun and crazy with fun characters. I think kids would relate to that one. It does look really fun and exciting. So that would be
Do you
my
want me
top.
to go through any of the others, Mike?
Let's see. I think Ellie's is pretty, I think I love animals. And as a kid, I loved, thinking and looking at animals. So that one to me would be enticing as a kid. So those would be my top 3.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
It sounds like Lori is on everyone's list. And the things that I'm hearing from all of you are that it's relatable, it's fun and kind of wild, it's colorful, it shows actions, it's not rigid. And I like that it's relatable to parents too, where they've kind of seen it in like a childhood book and we can all relate to the teeth as moms.
Yeah.
It kind of tells a story too.
Tells a
which is
story.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so is this, are you all in consensus that I can present that Lori Reed's 4 panels are the recommendation to council for approval for the 4 panels on the we go round?
I think so.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It's exciting.
And the redhead stays in.
I'm gonna text Ellie and let her know she can come back. Okay. That was so exciting. It's always fun to do these art calls. The other thing that I think is neat is there were a lot of artists that weren't widely known in terms of their art already being out and circulated through projects, which I thought was really neat.
Yeah.
I think Lori was the only one whose name I recognized.
And Sandy, so,
I
yeah,
didn't recognize.
yeah, Lori and Sandy both
Yeah.
have utility box wraps, and they're over by Jack in the Box.
Okay.
So this is listed as an action item on your agenda.
Thank you. So Ellie's, can I have Ellie come in and do the action? Sure. Perfect.
Is she locked out? No, you can't come back.
We were serious about your. So we made our decision and it's an actionable item, so I'm going to let you lead the process with that.
Alrighty. All right. So, let's see, so what do we need? A motion?
We need a
to-
motion to.
All right, we need a motion to. Well,
Wait. Group recommendations, for,
you gonna say a name?
yes.
I mean, how do you wanna work that into the motion?
Do you want me to make the motion?
Yes, please.
Okay, we'll make a motion depending on what you guys decide.
I move that we move forward with the recommendation of Lori Reed and her 4 panels for the art project in Traverse Park.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None heard? Motion passes.
Fantastic. Thank you all.
But I
Thank
love
you.
it.
Great conversation. Okay. We're just around the room.
All right, well then let's move on. Thank you for all of that. That was interesting.
Thank you for
Yes, for
participating,
submitting.
and
Absolutely,
yeah, it was really wonderful to see all the submissions.
absolutely. I was excited. And hopefully we won't have that quick a turnaround again,
Right.
but it's nice to know that we can do it.
Yes.
All right.
Ellie, what made you think of the monster in the lake?
Just, the Ponderay Paddler lore, I just love it, and
Yeah.
I always include it when I can.
And the
Yeah.
Chambers Beer Fest, it's our logo, and so every year Ponderay Paddler was doing something different. It was awesome.
In Penticton, I think it is, in Canada,
Oh, okay.
they have Ogopogo,
Oh, right.
which is their lake monster.
I think everyone should have a lake monster.
Yes.
If they don't, make it up.
That's right.
So
All right,
around the room.
wonderful. Let's go on to number 8, which is around the room. Does anyone have any announcements? Comments?
No.
All right.
What's happening at the museum?
Oh my gosh. I made it wasn't snarky, just a very leading comment in our newsletter about how we're all tired of shoveling snow. And it'd be great to have a snow blower. And the next day, one of our members showed up with a snow blower he got Home Depot to donate, which was amazing.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like,
Fantastic.
this is so easy. I've just been like grumbling and shoveling for years, and
Just
I could have
ask.
just asked
Right.
for help.
Yeah, that's
So,
Aw,
yeah, so
that's wonderful.
It's awesome.
yeah,
Amazing.
community is very generous.
Should we had our radio hour.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
That was really fun.
really fun. I've had good feedback about it. Jason Walker said he listened to it twice.
Oh my.
So you had your own radio show now?
Yes, so
Awesome.
through the partnership with the city and the museum, we really wanted to explore what community culture meant. So we have the community
Character hour.
character hour. I have so many like culture community, like different programming. And this goes back to the Cultural Collective campaign where we're actively collecting our community's history and talking about it and sharing. And so we had our first one at the end of February, right? It's the
The fourth Monday of the month.
8 o'clock, PRFY. And we focused on community planning and comprehensive plan to kind of let people know the history of that, planning here, and kind of give them a tickler about our comp plan getting wrapped up, so.
Yeah, it was awesome. I listened to it.
Oh,
Yeah, it was great.
thanks.
And what a great station.
Yeah.
Good place for donors.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we got trained to be broadcasters on the radio.
It's fun.
Learned how all the equipment works and immediately forgot everything I learned.
Right, you're like,
So how often will you be doing that?
Once a month, I feel, I mean, we've been talking about this since October, but I think it snuck up on us. I mean, but we were prepared. But we are still open to ideas for the opening music.
Oh.
We were kind of vibing off of like Delicious Dish on SNL.
So dorky.
People like cheese. Remember that.
But we're holding out for Caitlin Shook to do a custom
Oh, there you go.
jingle,
So.
but we don't have any money.
All right, well, if there's no other announcements, then we'll go ahead and adjourn. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Great meeting.
Thanks, Mike.